Hello and welcome. I am the Restless Kaiser.
And I'm Johnny B. And together we are
Modelling for Advantage.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Anyways, what have we got today, Mr. Kaiser?
Well, I took the kids from my school on another visit for another War Games day, but this time it was with Battlefront. We're doing a little pilot project in my school.
Okay,
getting kids playing tanks, and we did it down at Darksphere.
Okay.
In Waterloo, and Mac, the manager there, brought a lot of
Mac.
There's an Arnie quote in there, wasn't there?
Mac.
Yeah. The manager down there, he set up a lot of tables for us, and the kids played like a little tanks tournament. He even Battlefront gave them all a free tank. So
Seriously?
again, while I was there, and there's a painting competition. Yeah. So the kids have all been painting a tank.
That's good sport.
So again, there I am in a shop with a event laid on for the kids, and I thought, better buy something.
I know what I'll do.
So I bought.
Oh yeah.
Stalingrad.
Okay, so this is a Flames of War box set, starter box set like
Like LLMLA.
And there's another one, Fury.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
so it's in that.
So it's one of these basic
kind of
5
things.
tank jobs. So,
Do you want to open it then?
should we open it?
Go on, mate.
Should we just toss it out, mate?
Just do what you do best.
Just do what I do best. Do you want to tell them what the box says we're going to get now? Oh, you can't do that until you got the box, can you, John?
No, I can't.
Mate, we haven't thought this stuff through. We've done this before. We get bubble wrap. Look at that. Whoa. Do you know what? That felt good. That was quite heavy, that.
That's a fair bunch of crap.
You start out the crap, I'll read out the back then, shall I?
Okay.
So according to this, we're going to get one plastic Panzer III, a plastic Panzer IV,
Check.
a plastic KV tank,
That's
a
different.
plastic Valentine,
That's different.
a plastic T-34, 2 plastic tank commander screws, Flames of War mini rulebook, Flames of War start here booklet, terrain cards, 6 dice, 9 unit cards. So it says Stalingrad, but it's actually tanks, isn't it?
It seems that way.
Stalingrad, so far as I remember,
Dubros, weren't they?
Panzer Army did go in, but you know they ran out of tanks quite quick, and it's just
It's
a
all
lot of
this
dudes.
lot. It's all the dude bros in
It's
the
a
rubble.
dudes freezing to death in the rubble is what it's about, isn't it?
Okay.
Let's see what we get then in there. Do we confirm that we get what it says we get?
We have currently got a Panzer 3 and 4, but we've seen those already, so I'm actually just going to put them over there.
Just going to put them over there.
We don't
Can I
need
double
those.
check that it's definitely the same Panzer 3 and 4? Because there are some subtle differences.
A couple of different sprues?
They do a couple of different versions, yeah. But this is the same early mid-war Panzer 4 that we got in the LLMLA set. Yeah. And this is the same Panzer 3 suit that we got in the LLMLA set. So, yeah.
So they can.
But they do
go over there.
Mid-war Panzer 3s which have got the skirts around the turret and the shotgun.
Somebody was saying this about, didn't they do the same thing? Not with this set, the Sherman, so there are variations.
There's different kits,
some of the, okay.
Representing different points in time.
Well, that's that. The 3 and the 4
we've seen
are
those
over
before.
there.
So you want to see a bit more discussion, we talked about them at great length in the LLMLA. Oh, but, can I have the Panzer IV back, John? Because in the LLMLA, you said, what is that funny D-shaped ring?
Oh, attached to the short. Yeah, what is that?
Attached to the short.
Which is on, it's not on here.
And when I was at Darksphere, I brought this up with Matt, because he's a bit of a rivet head with tanks and stuff.
Did
and he was like,
enlighten you as to what that was?
no, he didn't know what it was either, and it really annoyed him.
So he found out?
So he found out, and he emailed me back the next day.
Is it a bracing bracket?
It is not a bracing bracket. That actually is to stop the aerial from getting damaged when the turret turns.
Oh.
So it pushes the aerial out of the way. Doesn't get caught on the turret or in the mechanism. Yeah, it just pushes the aerial well out the way.
Well, now we know what that little
Now we know,
is.
mate. You know what? I don't know where he found out. Probably down at because he's part of the War Games Club in Dulwich that runs Salute. They get some proper grognards there.
Yeah, grognards. I love
there
that
they
word.
are.
So now we know what that is.
So now we know what that is.
Right.
And I think actually Matt liked being asked that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What is that?
What is that? Like, why have I never noticed it before?
That's the 3 and the 4.
That's the 3 and the 4.
Boring.
And we're going to try and match these.
Get some dice.
Some dice.
They can go over
only
there.
3 of each.
You get a small A5 booklet, which is really handy, and I've already got one of these thanks to the Kaiser.
But I don't know how different this is because this is Flames of War mid-war. And they started the mid-war, when they did 4th edition, the mid-war was where they started, and now they're progressing to Normandy, which is like the transition period.
It's getting close.
Yeah, but I don't know whether this rule book is identical or whether it's mostly the same.
Okay, that's
which is worth noting if you're starting again. This isn't the most current version of the rules, but I don't suspect it's very different. But I think it probably is a little bit.
Right.
If you know what I mean. Like this is version 4, and the one in Fury is like 4.1 kind of thing.
Right.
I'm not sure.
So there are going to be possibly some refinements to some of the rules.
Possibly some differences, yeah.
Interesting. Perhaps someone can enlighten us in the comments.
Someone can let us know.
This is the cool stuff, though. We've got some Soviet tanks. You said we had a Valentine, did you?
We've got a Valentine, a KV, and a T-34. Ooh. So I'm just having a look at the sprues and see what's
trying to figure out which one's which.
So this is all T-34.
KV1 or KV1S, a T-34, which is all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
With a little nugget turret.
It's just because of the nature of the sprues, you see. They're not on a single sprue.
So that must be the Valentine. That's
the Valentine. That's definitely the KV, and that's a very big lower hull. So I'm going to go with this being the KV.
That's a meaty tank.
That is a big tank, yes. So this is all the T-34. That's definitely a T-34. Ooh.
It's got to be, because that's the Valentine turret.
Yeah, that's the right. Okay.
And that is a whacking great turret to go on a whacking great tank.
Oh yes. So
wow.
And then we got some unit cards and stuff.
Other bits and bobs.
We've forgotten that.
Flames of War unit cards.
So should we?
Where do you want to go?
I reckon.
Shall we have a look? Well, whilst you're doing that, look, there's some 2 sprues of tank commanders, just like they said.
1 gem, 1 tank. We'll put some stills out. You've seen them before if you want to see those. So if we take the tanks, like we'll talk about the stats and then talk about the sprue one at a time. Does that make sense?
So
just think about
what's first of these Soviet cards that you've got there.
Well, just to get them out of the way, just seeing if these cards for the Panzers they've got the Ghost Division stats and points, I think, which is one of your options for a mid-war tank, but the stats and the numbers on these tanks are the same as we saw for El Alamein. Okay. The looks of things, you get the same options, and you've got the same stats. Yeah, and they're
possibly, but without the other cards nearby. Who knows?
Yeah,
surely.
So
let's have a look at the Soviets.
4 Soviet. You also get
the order doofers?
The order cards.
I love that they do this. Yeah. It's the box art, essentially.
Yeah. Versions of the box art, but you get your German one. Oh, the words are the same, and you get these in everything.
Same words, but you can see who's here.
Yeah. So those are those. So we start with the Valentine then, because that's the one that's on a single sprue.
The little one. The little one.
It's on a single sprue. So if you have a look at this now, John, because you know what these numbers mean, don't you?
I know what some of the numbers mean.
See what we learn about the Valentine.
So a Valentine, for the purposes of Flames of War, is interesting. So I'm going to look at it, how easy it is to hit it. Really easy to hit it. It's reckless. It's
reckless.
Hit on a 2+.
Hit on a 2, mate.
Wow.
Hit on a 2.
That's interesting. Its front armour 6. Its side and rear armour is also 6.
Yes.
Why is that?
Ah, well. Are you finished with the numbers?
For the moment.
For the moment. Okay. Valentine is a British mid-war heavy tank.
Really?
Yeah.
It's tiny.
It's designed as a heavy tank, but by the time it hits mainstream production, it's kind of not up to the job.
Oh, it's already out of
it's
outdated already.
Yeah, and it's not that too far in front of Churchill, which was so much better, because there's more than one company designing these things. Right. So what happened with a lot of Valentines, thousands of Valentines are made, and some of them get used in the desert, but a lot of them get shipped out to Russia. And the Russians tend to use them as like second line and reserve units.
Really?
Yeah. Because one of the thing about mixing up your tanks and your ammunition and all that, it causes big logistical problems on a big scale.
Especially if you send it to the wrong place.
Yeah. So this you know, if you think about those numbers in Flames of War, front armour of 6 and anti-tank value of 7, this thing is not amazing.
It's not kicking out damage, but it was just very interesting to see that the side and rear, every stat card I've seen so far, there's been a significant difference between the front, side and rear.
Yeah. So it's because it's designed for close-in work in infantry support, in conception. So what can I tell you about the Valentine? There's loads of different ways of building a Valentine, and yeah, she was a fairly decent tank for her time, but the stuff that was coming out was so much better. The few iconic things about it is she's got a Christie type suspension, but it's been modified. So the independently sprung road wheels and so forth, they're kind of moving on a little bit from that, but she's still got fantastic suspension. But it's really weird, the arrangement on it. You've got big wheels and small wheels.
Odd.
Yeah. And you've got that long, almost like cruiser tank body. It's almost like an up-armoured Crusader in a lot of ways. But yeah, why it's got that big all-round armour value is because it's built as an infantry tank.
Interesting.
But it's pretty small for an infantry tank.
I can tell you that.
And like a lot of the Russian vehicles, like you say, it's got a Russian guy driving it, so it's reckless. Hit on 2+.
Don't care. So it's not kicking out too much damage. What's the other bits here? Do we want to look at that?
So in terms of companies, I think all the Russian tank platoons are tank companies, and they just come in massive groups.
10
of the 10.
It's the max for the Valentine here.
And how many points is it for 10?
A whole 24 points.
Which is about the cost of 3 Panzer IVs or something.
Might even be 2, to be fair. Oh no, it is. 4. Okay, 4. Okay.
So you get 10 Valentines or 4 Panzer IVs, and I bet you the Panzer IVs would win.
Yeah, most probably.
So that's that one.
Valentine, done.
That's Valentine.
Boom. Interesting.
So I don't know whether we'll use these in the desert, although you can, and you get a stat card for it. But they weren't used all that much, as I say.
Bit of terrain then?
Bit of terrain. Well, at some point we'd do some Stalingrad, that one.
Yeah.
But it's a second-rate formation. So the iconic T-34, John.
This is the workhorse, right?
T-34. So this is the early T-34, which is these 3 bits of sprue.
Okay.
I think it's on 3 bits of sprue because they couldn't make some of the pieces smaller and they needed to fit in the box.
There's a lot of turrets.
There's a lot of different turret options, but I've seen this before also with the Panther, because they used to have metal and resin kits.
Right.
They'd started to build sprues that went with the resin bits to replace the metal bits. So this might be an old sprue design. It's very reminiscent of the Panther. There's loads of bits for loads of different versions.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether this particular bit may predate it, and then they built the other bits in plastic later.
Right. Hence why.
I'm not sure.
That might say why it's come in 3 separate pieces.
In separate pieces, yeah. Absolutely. In fact, there could be a date on it. So this is a 2012 sprue. This is going to answer this question.
This one's a 2018, this extra turret.
That one is a 2013.
Yeah, and that's 2018. So
and that's 2018.
Component. So that's hands-on, so the question, in fact.
Built at different times.
Different times. So, regards stat lines, again, reckless, as you say. So
it's just 2. Yeah.
Mental. Front armour 6, standard.
Yeah.
Side armour slightly lower at 5. Not a bad weapon. T-34 76mm gun, all right range. Anti-tank 9.
Anti-tank 9. Perfectly competitive. And how many points for 10 of them then, John?
So these can come up to, funnily enough, 10 maximum. 52 points. So I mean, it's a lot more.
Yeah, but the difference in firepower 7 and firepower 10 is quite significant, though.
Yeah, 9 for this. Pretty manoeuvrable as well, a 12-inch tactical move.
12-inch tactical move, yeah.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, 10 of those is decent.
What's this overworked? I keep seeing this overworked. Plus 1 to hit for moving rate of fire. Yeah,
so overworked is a rule that Flames of War put in to represent when the space in the turret is significantly less. Where there are historic problems for the commander, the loader, or the gunner, often it's that there aren't 3 men in the turret, but sometimes it's that there's no room for the men that are in the turret. So in Flames of War, they just said the turret crew is overworked, and overworked as a rule means their moving rate of fire is harder to hit.
Particularly accurate.
Yeah. So there's maybe making some concessions that when you're stationary, you probably got the hatches open and you're not actually under an imminent threat, and you maybe got a little bit a little bit more leisurely about it.
That's not bad. Okay, well that's the stats.
So that's the
sprue.
stats. So the sprue, so the sprue's a bit weird, as I say, because this is obviously a different design. It's really dense, isn't it? With loads of different hatch types and so forth, and external fuel drums, lots of
barrels
pieces,
for the guns there,
different. These look like skirt ends.
Fuel tanks.
Yeah. So probably with the So the
what is interesting? You got what looks to be 3 complete turrets.
You do have 3 complete turrets, and you do have
and there's at least
4 guns by the looks of things.
So you can make 3 different types.
You can make 3 different types. I think this one, which is the single big hatch, a big lid, I think this is the earliest one.
Okay.
And this big lid, if it got a bit floppy, would start bashing people on the head. And the Crusader has got this big lid, and then they move to this more hexagonal turret with the independent hatches.
Okay.
And then you see this one, the hatches are offset for the commander and the gunner position.
That's quite interesting to see the evolution of tank design on single sprue.
And several different mantlets. And this, no, because this is for the 76, I think. This is for the T-34 76.
It tells you.
Yeah.
Actually tells you.
T-34 76. So you probably can build the T-34 85 out of these. Yeah, because there's a really big gun there. Like a lot bigger than all the others, I reckon. Yeah. And it's probably not giving you the design for it in here.
In there.
That gun is a lot bigger. I think that's a T-34.
Massive. Okay, well that's quite an interesting kit, that.
T-34.
That's the
T-34. Allegedly, this is the tank that won the war, according to some people.
Of course.
I don't know if I've said this before on camera, but I had a fantastic experience with the T-34 at the Imperial War Museum. Again, with some kids from school.
Okay, tell me.
So as we went around with the kids on the Imperial War Museum, and they've got lots of tanks and vehicles there.
That's kind of what.
And part of the reason I was taking these, the kids that were on this trip wanted to come to the Imperial War Museum with somebody who knew something about what they were looking at.
So why did you go?
And it's been recently redone out. If you haven't been to the Imperial War Museum in the last three years or something, it is now quite different. It is now different. That kind of foyer hadn't changed for a generation, and it's been totally redone.
Okay.
There's a lot of the same stuff, but it's all arranged very differently. So anyway, we looked at some German vehicles, and I was explaining to the kids about the kind of the craftsmanship method. Yeah, like the weld lines between on the joints, and where the armor plates were butted up against just the construction and so forth, and saying, to the kids that probably still looked a bit rough because you could see a little bit of the welding. And they said, I want you to remember, though, that this was full of straight lines and so forth. And I told them, about how the interlayered wheels on like the Panther and Tiger.
Okay.
And if that wheel breaks, how many wheels do you have to take off to fix it, to replace that? Just to get them to think about some of those problems.
Yes, real world problems
that are never on a war games table. So what are the problems with this machine are not its firepower and its armour.
Yeah.
They're different
maintenance and repairs.
So as we get down to, they've got a T-34 85 there, so it's a mid to late war.
And it's essentially a block of cheese, right, which they've carved out.
I could have done it with with a butter knife in some Edam. Could have made a smoother looking T-34. So I showed him, so there's a little chain on the back of an ammo box, and it's like every link of that chain is a different size. Like somebody's just like, it's got, I'll do. The casting on the turret, there's huge divots in the turret where there's obviously been some slag in the mould. The weld lines, a 4-year-old with a blowtorch would have done a better job of the weld lines.
So if this tank gets hit by anything other than a tennis ball, one would assume that it just sort of shatters.
Well, at certain points, it's quite clear that is not properly cast. That's, there's a good 2-inch dimple in that turret.
It'd be fine.
But the best thing about it was, there was a bench behind, so I got the kids up on the bench and was explaining to them about German infantry tactics if they had to fight one of these tanks, like in a close environment. without anti-tank equipment. It's all like 1942 before you got Panzerfaust, Panzerschreck. And then this crazy system involving a guy with an axe like smashing the engine deck open and somebody lobbing a smoke grenade on a string so it'd hang over the barrel of the, so that wherever they turned,
you joking.
it was still
this is like official doctrine.
Official doctrine, yeah. One guy who's in charge of this assault has got an MP40 and he's supposed to fire at the vision slits to keep the tanks abreast.
Wow.
And yes, somebody else. They tried to slide mines on a plank under like the turret boss, you know, and the join there.
Like a pizza oven.
Yeah, like literally like putting in a pizza. Yeah. And of course, I'm doing all this like with a real tank. So I said, so while they're doing this, I'd want to like, you stand there, right? Your job is to fire at all 4 of these vision ports with a machine gun while he does this. Then when it's time, the last one is like, okay, you get the axe and you have to jump up there. And he's looking at like, how do I get up there? Smash that open and drop a grenade in.
Presumably this tank is still moving and operational at the time, right?
Yeah. But he gave them some concept of like because you know, anti-tank rifles didn't work, and they didn't have Panzerfaust, Panzerschreck, and in a tight urban environment or whatever, if you're being assaulted by tanks, you clearly haven't got like the packs or the other
was this intended to make it so that the Germans didn't just run away at the sight?
It was about saying this is, if you had to do it,
then this is what
then this is how it can be done.
That's mental.
And I think every platoon was supposed to form a section that was train.
We need the tank hunter section.
Yeah, but it's one of the great things about you know, museums and stuff which have got some space around them, and they've got those, is to be able to tell those stories to kids. But the other good thing was, because by this point members of the public have come, because I'm a member of museum staff,
well, you look
and
like
I'm
one.
telling them a story. Right, so one of the problems with the T-34 was, because the tracks are all quite loose.
Okay.
Yeah, they're a little bit loose, the track pins, and the track pins on the inside, as vehicles moving along and rattling, would incline to sort of fall out. And
so the pins keep the links together.
Yeah. Now the German ones, a German craftsman would adjust the pin, like, you know, on a lathe, would adjust the pin. The problem with that is that pin has to go in that link. And that's not a great system for field repairs.
Right, yeah.
That pin is perfect for that link. Whereas the Russian ones are all a little bit slack, but the pins would incline to rattle out, certainly on the inside. Be like, this is a bit of a problem, because then the track just flops off, you know, job done. So what they did though, rather than trying to make the the engineering to a high specification, was they put a little dimple on the inside by the return roller at the back of the tank track. So as the track comes round, goes round, it go over this raised.
So you've got
plate,
a little bit there, so the pin's here, and it's coming in.
And it just get knocked back in. It just get pushed back in as it went past.
Have they modelled it? No.
So I said this, and I said, I can't. This is a late war tank, and a lot of this, to just send out these steel blocks from the factory and just welded it on. So I can't guarantee, but seeing as we're here, so all the kids and several members of the public got down on the floor and had a look, and there it was.
Just this bodged,
just this
piece of
well, by that point they were just building them on the tanks when they built the new ones.
Right, that's good. They're not just still kicking them out.
But it's like, this is what that bit is for.
Wow.
And I just love that about the Russian engineering. Said, oh, we could make this better.
We could design it.
Or we could do this.
Which is ample good enough.
Absolutely. I really waffled there. We might even cut that out. What do you reckon?
No, we'll keep it in.
T-34.
That's a T-34 in 3 sections there. Boom.
You get a chance to get down the Imperial War Museum though.
I'd
some good stuff there.
I think we should go, you know. We should play tanks.
We should play tanks.
Or Flames of War on a T-34.
They've got a beautiful First World War 18-pounder.
First World War?
Yeah, that's like 100-year-old cannon.
Wow.
Right, last thing. You get 2 cards, John. And I'm a little bit confused by these.
This is for the Beast. So this is the KV-1 tank company and a KV-1S tank company. These are still surprisingly completely reckless. They couldn't care less. They're just coming at you, mate.
Coming at you, mate.
Heavy tanks, loads of stats on there. Front armour of 9, side and rear armour of 8, so they're pretty durable. Really slow, in fact just as slow as the Valentine, but like 3 times the size. Not a bad firepower gun. KV-1 76 on the KV-1. 80 anti-tank value of 9. Not a bad firepower value, 3+, but that is also overworked. I'm surprised at that, being you were saying that was linked to the crew sort of size compartment.
Yeah.
Now this looks to be
there's
quite
a big
larger.
Turret. Yes.
But
it may not. That may not be the turret for the one you're looking at.
Ah, well that's yes, yeah, because the KV-1S does not have overworked.
Yeah.
And that has got a 76mm, which is pretty much the same stats. It is the same stats.
Except without the overwork.
Without the overwork. So they actually...
It's got a bigger turret.
They gave them...
They got some room in the turret, yeah.
And that is
there may be an extra man in there or just more room. I don't actually know the details of that.
Okay. Well, they're the key elements of the stat cards there.
But yeah, look, and KV, so they're not in huge platoons.
Come in 5s, Max.
It's 5s. I mean, 5 of them still pretty dangerous, isn't it?
40 points.
And what was the front armour on that?
Front armour's 9.
And the firepower...
Oh! Whoa. Okay. So the KV-1, the overworked one, with the smaller turret, is front armour 9, side and rear of 8. The KV-1S with the upside turret is only front armour 7. With the side
probably
6.
Had to reduce the weight of the tank.
Interesting.
For some reason.
Okay, well, both of these with their armaments come in maximum units of 5, with 76, and they're both 40 points for the max of 5.
Yeah, mate.
That's different. That's quite.
Well, I'm just thinking front armour 9. I mean, so you're the most powerful unit we've used so far out of 5 anti-tank rating is 10.
Yes.
So a roll of 1 on that, it has a chance to bail. Any other result, you bounce.
That's quite. Yeah, that is quite.
You can't actually get through this with those tanks.
That's a beast. Yeah,
even the side is an 8. Yeah, D6 plus 9 minimum roll.
So this is like the Soviet version of a Tiger, right?
Except they had them in 1939 on or something. Yeah. I mean, they do about 10 yards to the gallon and, poison the guys inside and all those kind of things.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at the size of the tracks, he's massive.
Yeah, you compare that to that Valentine, which is on.
And you can see why. I mean, it's a bit of a wargamer's favourite, the KV, because you could just eat the Valentine. The Valentine hull would fit inside the logo. Yeah. It's a bit of a wargamer's favourite because they have them very early and they are very powerful tanks.
They do look quite meaty.
Yeah. And the gun on them, so 76mm feels quite small for that. For 1941, that's quite a powerful gun. It's got anti-tank value 9.
Yep.
And it's virtually indestructible.
Wow.
That's what your 88s are for, though, right?
I guess so.
So, if we're going to be brutally honest, this is Stalingrad.
Get a booklet.
We may do a battle out of the box, but I don't know how interesting it is.
We've done... Have we done Fury yet?
We've not done Fury.
We've not done Fury, but we've done Lane.
We have. And we really want to develop our Flames of War game.
Yes, but I think we need to focus in one theatre.
I think we need to focus in one theatre. And I'm not sure how interesting a battle out of the box of this would be. It is a theatre I'm very interested in, but I think we need to be looking at infantry and we need to be looking at urban boards.
Let's expand that.
And Frosty.
But assume it will be roughly the same as the other starter box sets.
Yeah.
Regards to you get a specific layout.
Yeah.
A set deployment. Roll some dice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Until somebody wins, right?
Yeah. Except the difference is that these are hit on 2s, right? These Russian ones.
Okay, yeah.
I think it could be actually quite... True. It could be an interesting game, John, just because of that indestructible but hit on 2s thing. But what we probably will do before the end of 2020 is get these in tanks.
You reckon? Yeah, we can do that.
Because that's just about having 4 or 5 models. We don't need to make a big commitment. And I want to roll out this KV.
I really wish you wouldn't.
I think it looks nice.
We need stats for them, though.
In tanks?
In tanks.
You'll buy a tanks one. Then got 2. Right,
damn it.
That was our look at Stalingrad. You get all the bits. John will give you some stills.
There will be some stills.
This, we haven't played it, but this difference in the balance and the forces... This looks like a more interesting battle out of the box game, if I was to be brutally honest. Just because of the indestructible KV that you can't fail to hit.
Yeah.
And all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the model choice. Yeah, that was us looking at Stalingrad. Thank you for watching.
Bye!
Please remember to like, comment, share or subscribe this video, and if you are buying new games or new miniatures, please consider following our affiliate link to Wayland Games. It gives us a little bit of kickback and helps fund other projects for the channel. Thank you for watching.